with us experts on, and the topic is accelerating growth, understanding modern capital avenues. And we have with us Ashish Fafadia, he's chartered accountant, Sri Laukik Bagwe, CA Sunit Kabra, and CA Ankur Maheshwari. I'll request Vice Chairman of WIRC to escort our faculties on the dais. I'll recognize the presence of Subodh Agarwal, sir, past Chairman of ICAI, past President. Friends, we are eagerly waiting to hear from our past President, Subodh Agarwal, sir. I'll straight away request your good self to come forward and enlighten us.
Thank you, friends. I've been told the program is running late and there are two more sessions thereafter. So I'll request the moderator also in my session to only one session, but even after that, there is some other sessions. So, to squeeze to the extent possible, or to reply from the panelists also, so far as it can be squeezed. Friends, the topic right now in my session is the modern capital raising of, avenues. There are a lot of avenues for the capital raising. Why capital raising? There are two issues. Why capital matters in today's business landscape and evolution of capital pools. When we qualified in 90s, there are limited avenues for capital raising. But with the growth of the time and evolution of the industry, the capital raising models also has increased. I have seen the today's schedule from morning and till tomorrow. Almost everything has been covered. If I look at in the evolution of the capital pool, the equity financing. In equity financing, venture capital, then private equity, then comes angel investor, seed funding, public finance. Now, just before this session, there was REIT and InvIT. So those are there. Then strategic investors coming to and forming a joint venture. Now there comes debt financing. In debt financing also, various models has come up. Modern hybrid instrument has come, convertible, mezzanine, and then venture debt funding. Then government funded funding is also there. That credit guarantee scheme for MSME, SIDBI-backed funds. Then there is asset monetization and securitization. That scopes are there, that avenues are there. And then digital platform and fintech, like crowdfunding, peer-to-peer funding. Are we chartered accountants? Those I'm sure most of us are chartered accountants only. Only are there for accounting, or for balance sheet signing, or for internal audit, or for concurrent audit? My dear friends, that's just the beginning. I mean, today, whenever I talk, I say that it's an era of specialization. If you are doing audit, focus on audit. But if you feel you have to expand, you have to divert also. Then there is scope where we can use our expertise. Our expertise, I always say that we are not merely accountant. We are more than that. We can be financial wizard. What is financial wizard? It does not cover only accounting, not only balance sheet signing, it's more than that. Now international funding is also there. Then the issue is how to choose which is the right funding for the organization. Friends, it depends on, since there are panelists also, it depends on stage of growth of the company. The asset base and cash flow of the company. Dilution appetite, how much the company want to dilute. Speed and flexibility model, and then cost of capital that you are looking for. Based on that, and also the important thing is in which area you are. It's a startup, it's a IT company, it's a brick and mortar company, it's a finance-based company, which company it is. Now we have a panel of the speakers and panelists. Now our expertise, core expertise is valuation, due diligence, structuring and advisory, fund management, and structure guidance. Friends, as a financial market evolve, we professionals must also evolve. And we need to evolve to cater to the demand of the capital market. Capital market we have seen in COVID, during COVID, which was below 30,000 index. Today it is more than 82,000 index. How it has grown more than 3 times in less than 5 years, it has grown. Now the capital, if we talk about the capital, capital is no longer a constraint. It's not a constraint. You think of, could you have thought of equity at a premium in 80s? Probably no. Could you have thought of equity at an exorbitant premium in 90s and 2000? Probably no. Today, even a new company can think of capital of the equity of 2 rupees face value at 2,000 rupees, at 1,000 rupees. We have seen Paytm coming at 2,000 rupees, going down to 300 rupees, now again coming back to 1,200 rupees. So, is it not that an area we as a financial wizard can advise our client? Not only the investor, but only to the company, also to the company. I used to be merchant banker in 1994, 95, 96. Thereafter, I shifted. I was a category 1 merchant banker in 1995. At that time, the getting premium was very difficult. Even getting issue subscribed was an issue. And we used to go through the entire India, used to travel in 5 days, 5 cities to market our issue. That investor roadshow that we say, that time used to be investor meet and the brokers meet. In a 5-star hotel, you used to do that. Today, I have grown up. I have come up after that phase, and I have seen how the capital can be raised. George Bernard Shaw said, I have taken this from today, the chairman quote in the Facebook, progress is impossible without change. Durgesh Kabra in his Facebook today he has mentioned, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. You have to change your minds. What do you want? You want GST expert? You want to be income tax expert? You want to be capital market expert? You want to be audit expert? Yes, let us there be a verticals, different verticals, IBC vertical, GST vertical, capital market vertical. So all under one roof, we can have different verticals, and we can think of expertising in capital market also. Our friends has traveled all the way from, many friends from Delhi, from other part of the country. Those who have expertise, sitting in Calcutta, you can be expert in capital market. It's not necessary that you have to have in Mumbai only to be expert in the capital market. And to advise your clients how to raise capital, what mode of capital is needed for you? Friends, I'm sure this seminar where now the number has decreased from morning to evening, it has decreased. It will be a very enlightening to all of you, and you will get something that how to raise capital and advise your clients to raise different mode of capital. I wish all of you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Subodh sir, for your enriching and motivating words to us. And your experience is always valued at WRC, all the regions and council also. And your guidance is also always been a torch for all the fraternity members. So with this, I would like to felicitate you as a token of our respect. I'll request our vice chairman to come forward. And okay, we respect your request, sir. Now we will start with the session proper. Friends, as I said earlier, that we have an expert in this area. CA Ashish Fafadia, sir. Shri Laukik Bagwe, sir. CA Sunit Kabra, sir. And CA Ankur Maheshwari, sir, on the dais. I'd like to introduce them one by one. I'll start with the Ashish Fafadia, sir. CA Ashish Fafadia leads the FinTech and growth portfolios at Bloom Ventures, supporting the growth and success of notable portfolio companies such as Slice, Purple, Turtle Mint, Jai Kisan, and Stellapse. He also spearhead fundraising initiatives for the Bloom Score Opportunity and Continuity Fund across MENA, SE Asia, and India, and early member of a Bloom leadership. Ashish joined Sanjay and Karthik at Bloom in 2012. He has been pivotal in mentoring and structuring Bloom's platform team. He significantly contributed to the inception and expansion of Constellation Blue, a transaction and financial advisory firm seeded by Bloom. A recognized thought leader, Ashish's insights are captured in Bloom's Future of Money report and FinTech thesis. A chartered accountant and company secretary by qualification, he has been a visiting faculty and speaker at Industry Association and premier business schools. With this, I'll request you to welcome him with big round of applause. Our next delegate and expert is Shri Laukik Bagwe sir. He's passionate financial expert and investment professional with 2 decades of experience in asset management services. He is currently the head of fixed income at IIT Mutual Fund. He is based in Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Key expertise and role financial disciplines, strategic financial planning, for forecasting financial trends, cash flow management, portfolio management, substantial returns on investment. His top skills includes fund management, money market, and government securities. His career history highlights IIT Mutual Fund, head of fixed income from January 2025 till present, DSP Asset Managers Private Limited, Derivium Securities India Private Limited, Education Indian Institute of Management Calcutta, Senior Management Program, SMP Leadership and General Management Program, etc. So once again, I request you to welcome him with a big round of applause. Our next expert is Ankur Maheshwari sir. He is founder and fund manager of Old Rise India Opportunities Fund. He is based in Mumbai. Current role and investment philosophy role is founder and fund manager at Old Rise Asset Management and Advisory Private Limited, overseeing the Old Rise India Opportunities Fund, Category 3 AIF. His expertise, management advisory, asset allocation, and risk profiling. His philosophy is based on the firm focused on strong fundamentals, neat corporate governance and aggression, emphasizing strong research and patience as key to success. His career highlights: Mr. Maheshwari has extensive experience in corporate finance, business controllership, and investment management across major global funds. His professional qualifications like Chartered Accountant from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is also associated with ICSI and Institute of Company Secretary of India. His career highlights: Mr. Maheshwari has extensive experience in corporate finance, business. I already read it. So, big round of applause to the Maheshwari sir also. With this, Sumit. And we have with us Sumit Kabraji, Chartered Accountant with 25 plus years in financial advisory. Sumit leads business development and investor relations at Equitree. A seasoned entrepreneur and investor, he is also is known for his pragmatic approach in navigating complex financial landscapes. Before Equitree, he advised small and mid-sized business on financial strategies, tax planning, and growth. So friends, this is the learned panel for you, and we are going to enrich our knowledge with the expertise and guidance from all of these. So, dais is yours, sir.
Hi, good afternoon all. I think it's the second session after lunch, so I think few more people would be more awake, and we'll try to keep it squeezed in the manner Subodh sir suggested, and insightful, so it's not that long also and enough to cover all the topics. I'm actually excited to have such a great panel along with me. And as the today's topic itself is accelerating growth, understanding modern avenues or modern capital avenues. So actually when we speak about this topic, it gives a pretty good landscape to me to tell you that this is a ever-changing environment of capital markets. In last decade itself, if you see, there has been whole lot of changes which has come into the markets, from the fixed generating income assets or the fixed bonds to the debt markets. Then comes the PE and the VC segment, which has actually fascinated what valuations could be. And then comes the Indian entrepreneurial success, the small micro caps. So it's a complete ecosystem. What we'll try to do is, in next 40 to 45 minutes, try to do justice in understanding these three things and how they do complement to each other. So friends, let's start and go to this journey. So as I have three distinct speakers along with me, Laukik ji, Suneet ji and Ashish bhai. So, and all coming from expertise in different domains. Let's take a common questions first from them, and then we'll take individually how their asset classes look for. So, starting, capital markets look different today from a decade itself. And when we talk about the modern capital markets, how do you look at this capital market at this point of India? Because as it is being told, India has entered into the Swarnim Kal. We have 75 years of our independence, and our financial independence is also coming forward. So in this evolving landscape, I would try to ask all my speakers that a decade ago and decade now, from startups to funding of bonds to retail equity participation, how do you define the modern capital avenues? And we'll start from my left with Laukik ji.
Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Yes, it is quite interesting in last 10, 15 years or so. Capital market, the way it has got evolved in itself. I still could remember, like, I was just thinking about, like, the kind of government borrowing currently. It's like, on an average, is like 12 to 15 lakh crore, which government of India has been borrowing almost for last 5 years. Earlier, our total borrowing for the full financial year used to be like 1,20,000 crore and then thereafter for. So right now, the kind of borrowing and the calendar which has been growing, the kind of market size has been growing, it has been substantial in itself. My money market instrument size has become so huge in itself. It's a size of around 5.5 lakh to 6 lakh crore. So that's how the participation, overall market size has got grown. And at the same time, the instruments has also got evolved in itself. Right from capital market towards debt market instruments, towards REITs, InvITs part of it. Every instrument has got evolved in itself. My mutual fund industry fraternity also has got evolved as far as issuance of schemes and different products, acceptance of different instruments. It has its own path which has got achieved in the last 10 to 15 years part.
Thank you, Laukik ji. And next to it, I'll go to Suneet, where he can just explain us about the modern avenues.
हेलो सो बेसिकली अपने पिछले 10 से 15 साल की जर्नी की बात कर रहे हैं. अपन ने देखा है मार्केट को इवॉल्व होते हुए और इन्वेस्टर्स को इवॉल्व होते हुए. इन्वेस्टर्स के साथ साथ प्रोमोटर्स भी इवॉल्व हो रहे हैं. 10 से 15 साल पहले जब अपन इन्वेस्टिंग की बात करते थे तो अपने खाली ये बोलते थे कि यार ये पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक है, ये टिप आया है, ये इन्वेस्ट कर दो. आज की डेट में वी गो डीप डाउन एंड वी रिसर्च अ लॉट. तो जैसे जैसे आप डिटेल्स में जाने लगेंगे वैसे वैसे आपको मार्केट की मैच्योरिटी का पता चलेगा और वैसे वैसे ही आपको वेल्थ क्रिएशन का मौका मिलेगा. जो सर ने अभी बताया है इंडस्ट्री का साइज़ और अपना कैपिटल मार्केट का साइज़, ये अभी तो जस्ट शुरुआत है. अगले 5 से 7 सालों में अपने को वो देखने मिलेगा जो अपन ने पिछले 20 से 25 सालों में कभी इमेजिन नहीं किया है. अपने हाउस होल्ड सेविंग का खाली 5 से 7% अभी तक कैपिटल मार्केट में आया है. हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि एटलीस्ट 15% इन नेक्स्ट 5 to 10 years अपने को करना है. और अगर 5% में अगर अपन 5 लाख करोड़ पे पहुंचे हैं तो सोचो 15% पे अपन कहाँ जाएंगे. तो दिस इज जस्ट अ स्टार्ट. एंड ये जर्नी में जितना अपना डिजिटाइजेशन हुआ है उसका एक बहुत बड़ा रोल रहा है. जितना इजीली आपने जीरोधा को देखा है ग्रो होते हुए. If things are available to the investor at a mobile, then probably the journey becomes smoother and faster. So, Ankur, the idea is to get more and more friendly access to the capital market. जितना ज़्यादा आप access easy करोगे, चाहे कोई भी sector में हो, चाहे equity में हो, चाहे bond में हो, चाहे debt instrument में हो.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sunit ji. और अब आशीष भाई, if you can just tell about how you think about the modern avenues.
Sure. I will start with a couple of quick data points. Asia ka oldest stock exchange was Bombay Stock Exchange. When you talk about the number of listed companies, Asia has 3 countries in the top 5 in terms of listed companies in sequence and hierarchy. So it should not be a surprise for anybody that when you are starting to see the wheels of the economy turning, which has been happening in our country for last 35 years, you will see those results coming up the way they are coming as well. With that backdrop and context, let me introduce a new variant or a new kid on the block, which is venture capital. When you talk about venture capital, it is relatively new amongst all the other sides of the capital markets that have been there. And I would also agree very easily that it's the riskiest of the asset classes that the capital markets offer. And with this newest asset class, which is about not more than about 15 years old, private equity has been there in the country for about 25 years. But even there, we had a pioneering effort by ICICI in 1989. और फिर करीब 15 साल कुछ खास हुआ नहीं. Venture capital में we have reached a point where last 5 years alone, we have consistently seen inflows in excess of about 75,000 crores to 1 lakh crores each year. And that is roughly 20 to 30% lower than what it was at its peak. There are multiple reasons why it has lowered. That was a froth. This is the reality. And market equilibrium doesn't happen very easily because India has reached that stage where economic cycles are getting shorter. पहले it used to take, आप देखें तो 99-2000 was a big peak that came. उसके पहला वाला peak was a few years ago. And then very quickly the next peak started to come. So the cycles have shrunk between peaks and troughs that have come. So this is a new reality. And within that, we do feel that alternative forms of capital is definitely going to play a very pivotal role. And आज से आप 5 साल पहले और अगले 10 साल का data point अगर देखेंगे, तो you will realize that 1 in every 2 companies will be an alternative asset manager funded company that will go on the markets and list. When I say alternative manager, I mean either a VC funded company or a PE funded company that will go and list. And I'm saying this that within that also VC funded will be 1 in every 2 between the alternatives also. So that's the role that this part of the economy will play. Today, the contribution, हम लोग बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं, but आज के तारीख में contribution of alternatives funded or technology centric companies का contribution to GDP is less than 10%. Organized retail in the country is still less than 15%. Within that, e-commerce is less than 15 of that 15. So the headroom for growth is enormous. And within that, there will be volatilities and cycles. We have to be ready. And we have to embrace uncertainty. That's all.
Friends, I recognize the presence of Central Council member Ravi Patwa sir, and I'll request our Vice Chairman to escort him to the dais. Central Council member from the Calcutta. Ankur, you can continue. Sir, ko thoda center mein. Sir, ko center mein. Ankur, you can continue.
Hey, thanks, Ashish. It was really insightful. Sorry for the short break in between. But yeah, coming back to you only. So, I have a question because there has been lots of chirps which has been going on with, will not name anything being on dais, but the chirping has been on the valuation sides and the companies which come from PE and VC background. Second important part which I want to understand is that India is somewhere becoming unicorn factory also. But when these unicorns come into the secondary markets, how well the progress has been. And third important thing is the maturity of this PE and VC funds. Are we at a mature stage, or is it the sky is still the limit to us? So I just want to hear from you.
Valuation का concern तो है. I'll be lying through my teeth if I say nahin, everything is hunky dory. There are concerns, and the enough doubts have been raised when you look at valuations of whether it's an urban company or a grow. I am not saying anything which is my perception. You have data, you have enough reports. People have asked about it, so there's no point mincing words about it and acknowledging the fact. However, with that acknowledgement, I want to put out couple of data points. Numbers don't lie, experiences don't lie, and history has some important lessons. Year was 1997. A company in the US listed, market cap less than $500 million. At the prevailing exchange rate, it works out to roughly about 3,000-4,000 crores se bhi kam. When that company listed, it was a loss-making company, and the revenue multiple was more than 10x. And today it is more than $1 trillion of market cap, 28 years. Guess the name of the company. You're right, Amazon. So, when you talk about new age businesses, this set of businesses operates on the power law. Power law में बहुत simple logic है. We as venture capitalists do the job of picking 30 to 40 companies in the life of a fund, which is supposed to run for 10 to 12 years. In the course of that, when we go and ask money from sovereign wealth funds and endowments and all that in India or globally, we are basically saying, please give us X million dollars or X 100 crore rupees. We are trying to project that we can come to you back after 10 years and deliver to you about 4x of that money. 4x sounds very low, but it is not. You draw the money over 5 years and start returning from the 7th year onwards. So IRR बैठ जाता है. Now, when you look at this, out of the 30 to 35 or 40 companies, there will be only 3 to 4 companies which will drive 80 to 90% of this outcome. There is global research which says that in any fund, no matter whether you do 25 companies or 40 companies, 6 companies will drive 90% returns. This is US experience, data proven. So the power law exists. So when we look at telling people, or when people ask us, we say that please bear in mind that nothing in the markets or the euphoria should lead you to forget conventional wisdom. Cash flow wins. Valuations will eventually sanitize. But there is a scope that you will end up missing out if you don't acknowledge the presence of this new economy and have an allocation towards that and play with the power law intent only. And I'll just now combine with the second statistic that I promised at the beginning of it, that in India, how many companies are listed, sir?
More than 5,000.
6,500 companies से ज़्यादा listed है. How many companies are having a market cap of more than 3,000 crores? Just 3,000 crores. Thankfully, it is much more. 25% of our listed companies have market cap more than 2.5 to 3,000 crores. Power law है कि नहीं है? If you aggregate all the those 25% of the companies, it is not more than 90% of the market cap. If you take the top 10, is it not more than 80% of that universe? So capital markets में equity side पे power law plays out. In new age, it will play out much more aggressively. So we have to keep that in mind.
Super. One last thing I just wanted to understand more was on the fintech and the digital infrastructure which has actually come into the country. So I was just traveling to Europe last year, and then I was amazed to see that how easily we can transfer money in our country and how difficult it is over there. So one is that digital infrastructure. Second is that with this fintech development and infrastructure coming, raising money and finding avenues to put the money, how do you see under your lens?
On the infra per se, खेल अभी शुरू हुआ है. I promise you, the gap that exists today, we are by and large prone to self-deprecate to an extent where we have always written off ourselves and our systems and our country's architecture. that is not true. And if you want evidence of it, there are many, but talk about the question you asked, which is fintech. You are bang on when you say that transferring the money in aggregate population of people who can transact money using their phone in microseconds in India is roughly China nikal de aap. So you are having many more people than exist in the whole continent. And I would argue it is going to be not too much more than the rest of the people in the world. You please try and transfer money in other countries like you were saying, and you will realize this is not about UPI alone. The volume of UPI has already crossed the volume of MasterCard or Visa. There are many other things. You talk about loans to farmers, insurance available under the government schemes. You are having that kind of an infrastructure which is going to deliver suddenly, overnight, from 4.5% penetration of insurance, we have a shot at getting to 37% straight away. That's going to happen because the government has put out the insurance digital program, where the bottom 33% of the startup of the country will be able to access it online. So there are many such things happening on the financial infrastructure. However, I would not correlate that to avenues for investment. That as an opportunity for investments to materialize faster and deliver great returns, I would say yes. But our stock exchanges will continue to power the growth. And we will see more and more companies listing faster and faster. Private markets का सबसे बड़ा weakness इस country में ये रहा है कि VCs, Ps, हम included. Okay, I'm not blaming anybody else. यही कॉन्वर्सेशन रहता है कि कब मार्केट में लिस्ट करें और पीपल से दैट जूस अभी बाकी है, तो आप क्या वेट कर रहे थे जूस निकल जाए फिर हम गन्ना बाकी का निकाले उधर दूसरे साइड से.
Very true, very true. So, superb Ashish. I think we'll come back to you with more insights. And now I'll go to the person just sitting to my left. And this is Lokik ji. Fixed income and fund management. So, fixed income is often seen as the silent backbone. Like in the fascinating world of all glitters where stocks are rising 4x, where MOICs is stocked, multiple of invested capital, fixed income is silently making its way. I mean, last 3 years after COVID, people have seen such a growth in their portfolios, outshining everything. And suddenly in last 1 year, you realize I'll give you a practical example. Coming from a fraternity which is of chartered accountants, I almost met many people who all have become fund managers before 2 to 3 years. And now they'd been realizing, no, let's leave this expertise to people who are doing it. Let's focus on where our expertise lies. Nothing offending, but what I want to understand from you, sir, is that when we talk about money markets, G-Secs, how easy they are to access to the retail investors, first. Secondly, how this silent backbone is still the silent backbone, though there is whole lot of talk about all other classes of investments.
Thanks. See, it's like we have actually forgotten that there is something called as asset allocation in itself. Okay, we have seen like equity market has moved from where 2020 towards 2025, part of it. Almost till September 2024, everyone was so happy about double-digit kind of returns, and suddenly it's a cycle which has got stagnated or what we call it as a sideways kind of movement, which earlier also we used to observe in the same way or in the same fashion. But at the same time, earlier we used to have an asset allocation towards equity, towards debt, towards commodities, towards real estate part of it. Now suddenly, equity has become a charm in itself, and debt market has suddenly gone on to the very quiet way of sitting quietly in itself. But somehow, yes, it has become slowly and gradually going to be a talk of the town, because thanks to the sideways of movement, it's a September 24 till today, Nifty has been generated only a 2 or 3% kind of return. Some of the small cap has become negative kind of returns, whereby the debt market remains to continue to give you a 6.5 kind of return profile, which has been quite steady enough. Now for India, what has got changed, now the earlier version of 8.5% for a fixed income products or the instruments, which was very much acceptable to the most of the market investor part, and along with the taxation benefit which has gone out of our system 3-4 years back, And the second part is about the inflation. The way RBI and the way Government of India has managed the CPI over the last 10 to 12 years, part of it, the success, like what we have been seeing and observing in today's current scenarios, the CPI at 2% is phenomenally good. But at the same time, the kind of efforts which has gone into it, it is actually goes back into a 10 years part of it. What we have developed is our food inflation, our distribution networking, which has evolved in itself for a country like us, for a sizable people of ours. Food inflation, which is almost a 52% component of my CPI, has got it controlled, well under control. And we are not worried too much about the monsoon, but the distribution of the monsoon. So that's how the sea change which has happened in last roughly you can say a 10 years part of it. Now here what we can see that 8.5% kind of returns which debt market guys used to generate, it is going to be normalized at 6.5%. Now it's a matter of time, the set of investor class like you, me and everyone will start accepting that also as a good, steady and a stable return in itself. So that's why I always say that way back in 2000 when I have started my career, we used to trade in the Government of India securities at a rate of 11.5% and a 12%. I still used to remember a coupon used to be 1183 2003 kind of maturity. Now currently as we speak, we are trading in a 6.33 2035, which is a 10-year. That's a kind of 50% of coupon which is getting discounted for. So that's the kind of change we have observed in last 20 years. Going ahead also, don't be surprised, the way our Indian economy has been growing substantially, we will be having a CPI to be getting settled down at around 4%, if not 2%, but at the same time, we are certainly not going up above at 6 or 8% kind of CPI. So that's the kind of change going ahead also, which I could always, see that the acceptance of return of debt is around 6%, not the 8.5% kind.
Thank you, sir. And one last thing I just wanted to understand from a retail perspective. So, because of the digital revolution, it has become quite easier for people to access to equity products. Can you throw some light on the debt products where retail participation can be done?
So for debt market products or instruments, it's like always it has become an institutionalized player in itself. Or last so many years, we have seen like money market instruments, government securities, state development loans, and corporate bonds. All four major instruments remain to be a participant participated only by the institutional investors in itself. We used to invest only into some of the post office related instruments, nothing more than that. Now recently, like in 4 years back, whereby RBI has started doing a GSEC retail debt segment. Its mobile version has started from April 2024 onwards, and slowly and gradually there is a discussion which is also going around. By November 2025, there will be, by this end of the month, there will be a clarity on a further facilities or benefits to be given to the retail segment. It could be like giving a special discount or giving an additional coupon or giving a special discounted price for the retail segment. It could be, the proposal has gone all the way that it can be for the special person to get it invested at a special price. So slowly and gradually, RBI and the central government also accepted the fact that they need a retail participation also in a debt market. Which is certainly going to happen in my opinion. I think it's a matter of 5 years, 3 to 5 years part of it. There will be a retail participation. Government of India will start borrowing from the retailers at a particular level, at a particular price, and at regular intervals for that matter. Secondary market activity for the retailers still yet to get evolved. We have got some apps which is allowing us to invest into the corporate bonds part of it, fintech apps which has got evolved in last 3 years part of it. But of course, the volume still remains to be at a very nascent stage in itself. So some of the apps has been trading in a band of around 400 crore on an average for a particular month. Maybe some of them are at a lower part of 150, 200 odd crore, which is still a smaller in size in itself. I would rather say a long way to go for those fintech apps also to get it accepted in itself. Of course, it has got started 3 years back only and a long way to go for them to get it, accepted by the retailers as well. But yes, Government of India and their debt product and their instruments will get evolved in itself by next 2 to 3 years. That is what I can expect it for. But at the same time, corporate bond markets, we just have to be very careful as far as their risk and risk management process is concerned, as far as those fintech practices and their overall risk practices are concerned. So it has got its own ways, and it will take its own time, another 3 years, which I can expect it for.
Thank you, Lokik ji. It was so detailed and so nicely articulated. And now coming to the third topic. So everyone wants a multi-bagger? I want some noise. There's a multi-bagger coming up. How many people want a multi-bagger? Yes, there are few hands at least. Yes, so people are awake. So I'll come to Suneet. Suneet, this is somewhere I also correlate a little more because this is the segment where we also operate. और हमने देखा है कि जो वैल्यू क्रिएशन स्मॉल और माइक्रो कैप्स में हुआ है वो वैल्यू क्रिएशन बहुत ज़बरदस्त हुआ है. पर इस वैल्यू क्रिएशन में हमें क्या ध्यान रखना होता है, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि रिटर्न के साथ रिस्क पैरेलली चलता है. जैसा इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में इनकम के साथ लॉस पैरेलली चलता है, वैसे ही रिस्क और रिटर्न भी साथ साथ चलते हैं. तो रिटर्न जितना बनता है रिस्क भी उतना ही रहता है. तो जस्ट वांटेड टू नो फॉर बेनिफिट ऑफ ऑल ऑफ अस दैट फर्स्ट थिंग इज ये सेगमेंट में इन्वेस्टिंग कैसे करनी है. सेकेंडली, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन रिस्क एंड वोलेटिलिटी. दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन जो हम आपसे समझना चाहेंगे.
सो बेसिकली इंडिया में ना अपने क्रिकेट और बॉलीवुड एकदम फेमस होते हैं, राइट. तो मैं आपको एक क्रिकेट का एग्जांपल देता हूँ. मेरे लेफ्ट में जो है वो T20 है, मेरे राइट में जो है वो टेस्ट क्रिकेट है, और मैं जो हूँ वो 50 ओवर वाला गेम हूँ. T20 में यू हैव इनफ एंड मोर एक्साइटमेंट एंड एडवेंचरस, दिस इज वेंचर कैपिटल. राइट में जो है टेस्ट क्रिकेट जो कि आपका बॉन्ड मार्केट है. ओके, एकदम शांत, धीरे धीरे, लंबा लंबा, ट्रेडिशनल, टेक्निकल चलते रहता है. मेरा जो सेगमेंट है ना वो दोनों के बीच का है. मैं क्या करता हूँ, एक अच्छी कंपनी आइडेंटिफाई करता हूँ. अच्छी कंपनी सब लोग चाहते हैं कि आइडेंटिफाई करें. दैट्स नॉट दैट डिफिकल्ट एक्चुअली. आपके सारे पैरामीटर्स हैं जो मीट होते हैं. अभी आपने बताया 6,500 कंपनियां हैं. अपने को लिटरली 15 से 20 कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना होता है. वी डोंट हैव टू इन्वेस्ट इन 100 कंपनीज. सो यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई दोज 15 गुड कंपनीज वेयर यू कैन इन्वेस्ट. एंड वो आता है बिजनेस कन्विक्शन से. अगर कोई चीज़ का बिजनेस आपको समझ में आता है तो वो कंपनी में आपको पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहिए. अगर वो बिजनेस नहीं समझ में आता है तो आपको वो इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं करना चाहिए. इक्विटी इज व्हाट? इक्विटी इज शेयरिंग इन अ कंपनी, राइट. आप किसी के साथ पार्टनरशिप करते हो तो उसका बिजनेस समझते हो, वो आदमी को समझते हो, और उसके बाद उसकी पार्टनरशिप करते हो, आप उसका बिजनेस भी समझते हो. अपन इक्विटी को बहुत अब्यूज़ कर चुके हैं इतने सालों में. अपन ने उसको एक सट्टा बाजार बना दिया है इतने सालों में. इट इज़ अ वेरी वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस टू इन्वेस्ट. जो अंकुर ने मेरे को पूछा अभी कि वॉलेटिलिटी और रिस्क में क्या डेफिनेशन. सो रिस्क इज बेसिकली यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड एंड यू ट्राई एंड बैट ऑन इट. Volatility is basically you understand the risk, you time the risk and you calculate it. Market में volatility हमेशा रहेगी. This is the beauty of the market. You have to play the volatility in your advantage. आपको एक कंपनी का कभी भी जो ग्रोथ होएगा ना वो स्ट्रेट लाइन नहीं होएगा, वो हमेशा लीनियर होएगा. वो ऊपर भी जाएगा, नीचे भी जाएगा, ऊपर भी जाएगा, नीचे भी जाएगा, बिकॉज दीज आर बिजनेसेस विच आर इम्पैक्टेड बाय वेरियस फैक्टर्स. तो जब कंपनी खराब कर रही है तो आपको क्या करना है? आपको देखना है कि वो कंपनी खराब इसके लिए कर रही है बिकॉज देर आर मैक्रो रीजंस, एक्सटर्नल रीजंस, जिसमें कंपनी का कोई ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं है, तो आप उसके साथ बने रहिए. अगर आपको लगता है कि कंपनी के इंटरनल प्रॉब्लम की वजह से वो खराब कर रही है तो आप उसमें से निकल जाइए. इंटरनल प्रॉब्लम कैन बी कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, इंटरनल प्रॉब्लम कैन बी कैपिटल मिस एलोकेशन, यू नो. तो ये जो चीज़ें हैं ना, ये आपको डिफाइन करती है कि रिस्क और वॉलेटिलिटी को कैसे आप प्ले करो.
Thank you. And with this only, I remembered a small instance. I was sitting with someone and he told me this, कि there is a rule of 72 in markets, which says कि आप 72 से आपकी expectation rate of return को divide कर लीजिए, उतने साल में आपका पैसा डबल हो जाएगा. So let's take an example. हमारी expectation है 12%. तो 12 6 72, 6 साल में आपका पैसा डबल. Now the story comes over here is that people who all are sitting over here and 20 years later, if you don't invest in this market, your next generation will ask you why didn't you invest it, because this market has been generating a CAGR of almost 15%. Second important thing is, I also asked the same question from my father, that 20 years back, why he didn't invest it. So his answer was, the moment you wake up in morning 9 o'clock and you just swipe something and some trades get executed, this facility was not available in our times. And second important thing, my son, is that at that point of time, Wipro was not a software company, it used to sell oil. Not many people used to know it. So that difference has really come up. So आज जो डेटा की अवेलेबिलिटी है, प्लेटफॉर्म्स की अवेलेबिलिटी है, उससे आपको क्या लगता है सुनीत कि कितना इजी हो गया है हमें वो जो टैग है सट्टे बाजार का, उसको हटाकर एक्चुअली इसको एक प्रोफेशनली ड्रिवन मैकेनिज्म ऑफ वेल्थ क्रिएशन बनाने में?
या सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. पहले ऐसा होता था कि बहुत ज़्यादा डेटा नहीं अवेलेबल होता था, प्रोमोटर्स मिलते नहीं थे, लोगों को फैक्ट्री पे जाके विजिट करने का मौका नहीं मिलता था, क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स नहीं आते थे. नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ द चेंजेस इन रेगुलेशन, सेबी हैज बिकम वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट. एंड जो आप बोल रहे हो कि 20 साल पहले आपके फादर ने क्यों नहीं इन्वेस्ट किया, बिकॉज ही फाउंड इट वेरी डिफिकल्ट. आप वो आईपीओ की एप्लीकेशन भर रहे हो हाथ से, आपको एक अकाउंट में एक एप्लीकेशन डालनी है, आपको दुनिया भर का काम करना है, बैंक में जाना है, पैसा जमा कराना है, रिफंड को ट्रैक करना है. वो बोलता है आदमी कि यार ये सब नहीं करना है, मेरे को मेरा बिजनेस अच्छा लगता है, राइट. सो अभी ऐसे चीज़ें बहुत कम हो गई है आफ्टर कमिंग टू ऑल दैट ऑनलाइन डिजिटल ब्रोकिंग, ऑनलाइन ऑनबोर्डिंग, इवन द पीएमएस स्टार्टेड ऑनलाइन ऑनबोर्डिंग, राइट. सो these things have become very very convenient for the investor. और इन्वेस्टर को ऐसा लगता है कि पहले बैलेंस शीट पढ़ना इतना मुश्किल होता था, आजकल ये व्हाट्सअप यूनिवर्सिटीज़ और यूट्यूब यूनिवर्सिटीज़ इतनी आ गई है कि लोगों को आधे से ज़्यादा वैसे भी पता चलने लगा है, राइट. पहले ये सब कुछ होता नहीं था. सो यस, थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ द टेक्नोलॉजी. चीज़ें काफ़ी ठीक हो गई है एंड शायद इसी की वजह से अभी इतना पेनिट्रेशन भी बढ़ रहा है.
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. And now my question would again be for the whole panel. And this is more like a question where I want to understand your thoughts, that one side we have VCs, one side we have debt markets, one side we have equity. And then next decadal journey where we had been promising that yes, we will take our GDP to next $1 trillion. I'll not figure out the numbers because these numbers can be changed. So how do you see these three complementing each other? We can start with Lokik ji.
Hey, so let's start with the bond market. See, it's like bond market, deepening of bond market has been very crucial for all of us. It's like right from equity market towards the venture capitalist, towards every part of the fundraising activity, towards the growth part of it. Why deepening of bond markets? Because again, if a government of India and the state developments, if they can easily borrow at a much better and a cheaper price or a cheaper levels in itself, which will help the other segment of the market, because your cost of raising of funds, if it gets dropped substantially, that is beneficial to not only to the government, but also to the private players in itself. At the same time, if they remain to be in a market throughout a year to borrow a substantial amount, as I mentioned, about 14.5 lakh crore of gross borrowing program in itself, slowly and gradually government of India is also trying to reduce their overall outstanding as far as debt market is concerned. So that's the second part. Next part is also about if we have a deep market, debt market, by way of retail participation also, that will also evolve in itself. Now let me give you an example. In last 10, 15, 12 years part of it, NPS, this private NPS, it has grown substantially well in a market. Their participation, like right from EPFO, NPS, insurance companies, this includes the private insurance and the LIC part of it, and the fifth largest is the EPFO. These are the 5 large investors who have become so huge in itself. They have been greatly participating in debt market. Sixth largest is of course the FPI, and their participation as Indian debt market has become part of the global debt indices, like JP Morgan indices, we have already a part of it. We have received 1.8 lakh crore in the year 2024. Next year, we can expect a Bloomberg index also getting included for the Indian debt market. The large amount which we can expect is a 3 lakh crore. So that's how the debt market is also getting participation all across. And the seventh part is also about the retail segment, as I mentioned, that if we go ahead and successfully it becomes RBI's retail debt segment, it will be an addition to the overall participation as far as debt market. market is concerned. Now, the same level of lower risk or lower pricing or lower cost of borrowing will help the retailers, will help the private guys, will help the corporates to raise their funds and acquisition or raise their funds into the corporate bond market at a much better and at a much better cheaper levels in itself. So that's how, in our opinion, I think the bond market, it is going to evolve the other segment of the capital market as well.
Thank you, thank you. I think Ashish or Sunit, anyone of you can take and then the
Yeah.
next will
So
follow.
basically, all the three things has to go hand in hand. It's not कि एक चीज अच्छी चलेगी और दूसरी नहीं चलेगी. It's like all three forms of cricket gives us enough entertainment, right? So we have almost more than 100 plus unicorns which has a $350 billion का valuation. We have like $5 trillion का 5 trillion से ऊपर हो गया है अभी तो शेयर मार्केट का. And again for the bond market, like the government spending, आप देखो इंडिया में इतने challenges हैं, अगर अपने को इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अच्छा करना है तो बॉन्ड मार्केट हैज़ टू डेवलप, राइट? आपको मतलब एक डेटा में अभी देख रहा था कहीं पे, तो गवर्नमेंट इज प्लानिंग ऑलमोस्ट मोर देन 100 लाख करोड़ रुपीस का बॉन्ड इशुएंस. आज की डेट में भी एटलीस्ट 50 लाख करोड़ के बॉन्ड आउटस्टैंडिंग है. तो ये मार्केट बहुत बड़ा है और अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी बहुत बड़ी है. जिस तरह से अपने को स्टार्टअप वगैरह आएंगे तो नए नए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स आएंगे, दे विल क्रिएट वेल्थ. इफ दे विल क्रिएट वेल्थ दे विल एड अप इन जीडीपी. जैसे ही वो स्टार्टअप आईपीओ में आएगा, यू विल डू कैपिटल मार्केट. तो इट्स अगेन एसेट एलोकेशन. तो जैसे जैसे आपकी वेल्थ बढ़ती रहेगी, आप थोड़ा पैसा बॉन्ड मार्केट में डालते जाओगे, राइट? सो एवरीथिंग हैज टू गो हैंड इन हैंड एंड इट विल हेल्प इंडिया ग्रो ट्रेमेंडसली.
Thank you, Sunit. Ashish ji.
No, enough has been said. In the interest of time, I won't repeat all of it. It will go hand in hand. It's a function of the depth of the market, the ethical practices, the access that is now available, which wasn't there many years ago, and the regulatory frameworks, DEAR. So it's a function of that. And in 3 of these 4 matters, we have gone notches above. Now it is all about making sure that it is not driven on the back of momentum. And primary and secondary both are equally critical. People say that secondary is not great. No, but if secondary does not allow you to give exit to the people who have already been inside, the rotation of the money does not get completed. So I would just add this facet and leave it at that rather than belaboring the point, because I'm in full sync with what has been said already.
Superb, superb. It was great to have all three of you. So I'll just end over here with the final comments कि जैसा आप सब ने सुना होगा, पहला सुख निरोगी काया, और उस निरोगी काया के लिए बैलेंस फूड बहुत रिक्वायर्ड होता है. उसी तरीके से एक बैलेंस पोर्टफोलियो भी रिक्वायर्ड होता है जिसमें सारे तरीके के फ्लेवर्स होने चाहिए. और जिस तरीके से साल में एक बार आप आपका हेल्थ चेकअप कराते हैं, उसी तरीके से हर 6 महीने में अपना वेल्थ चेकअप भी कराइए. एंड प्लीज लीव इट टू द प्रोफेशनल्स. थैंक यू, थैंक यू. दिस इज फ्रॉम आवर साइड, एंड इफ देयर आर एनी क्वेश्चंस वी कैन टेक फ्यू ऑफ देम, अदरवाइज विल कंक्लूड द सेशन. I guess I
So
can't
any
see
questions from the
hands.
audience?
Yeah.
Anyone? Please raise your hands if any. Okay, so we can have the discussions offline as well. So before concluding the sessions, we have with us Central Council member from Kolkata, Sri Ravi Patwaji. I'll request him to give the concluding remarks on the session. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I recognize the presence of our past president, M.M. Chitle sir, and of course, on stage, Subodh Agarwal ji, the master of the show, Durgesh Kabra ji, the Central Council member and the chairman of Capital Markets Committee of ICI. Friends, at the outset, I beg your pardon for budging in when the session was on. My apologies for that. And I understand that the session is running late and we are hard pressed for time. But since Piyush has asked me to give some concluding remarks, I wonder whether I would be standing here giving a concluding remark on a subject of which I am not an expert. It's not an audit session or an IT session, so perhaps I shouldn't be giving the concluding remarks. But since I have been asked, I'll share my couple of thoughts perhaps. Friends, we have talked about debt market. I believe that deepening of debt market is something which is going to happen in India and which is very, very important to happen. Today, the investments in debt market is only done by institutions and corporates. Retail investment in debt market is absolutely zero. That has to change. I believe that importance of green bonds will come. Municipal bonds can become a huge, huge thing in our country, which has not come yet. So far as mutual funds are concerned, you know, we are clapping that every month we are collecting 20,000 crores. But friends, even today, not even 10% of the households are covered by mutual funds. Not even 10% of the households of the country is investing in mutual funds. And if you see the size of the SIPs, the average size is abysmally low. So there is huge opportunity to grow. Anybody who is investing in the capital markets today in our country is bound to make huge profits. There is no doubt about it. All experts keep on saying that. And novices like me also say the same thing. And in the equities, the importance of venture capitalists are going to increase manifold. One line of caution for the flood of IPOs which we have. I know it is much, much better than what it was maybe 20 years back. The regulations have changed. The regulators are much more strict now compared to the couple of decades earlier. Having said that, even today, the role of some of the merchant bankers leaves some questions in our minds, and we as investors really need to study deeply before investing in IPOs, more than even investing in, the FPOs and existing capital market otherwise. Overall, I would like to say that our country has a huge opportunity of leveraging the GIFT City as a global capital hub. If that happens, that will be another huge influx of capital in our country, which will not only ensure that the economy of the country grows, but will also ensure that everybody's pockets, whosoever is sitting over here and investing in the capital market, will also grow. And I also believe that there is likely to be a shift towards more and more investing in ESG compliant corporates. That is something which is likely to happen. All this perhaps has happened because of the 54 crore bank accounts which we opened, along with all the other things which have played their own roles. Even opening of 54 crore bank accounts, additional bank accounts for the, downtrodden people, have actually played a role, and that is going to explode with more and more coming in, more and more funds coming in the mutual funds at least, if not directly to the equity market, but indirectly through mutual funds. And last thing which I like to say is that one advertisement was perhaps one of the most powerful advertisements that we have ever seen. Mutual funds sahi hai. For the general people, that is something which is extremely good. And for knowledgeable people like chartered accountants sitting in front of me, you know how to analyze and invest. With these words, I'll finish off. Thank you very, very much, friends.
Thank you very much, sir. Since we started the day, we are talking about capital markets and along with that Bhagavad Gita. And as the subject was there, we have learned that without working on your own portfolio, you will not get the fruits you desire. And the slok in Bhagavad Gita says that karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have control only on your actions not on the results. Just like the capital market, we can study, analyze, and act, but we must be stay detached while it come from for the fruits. Another say, goes on in Bhagavad Gita that Uddharetmat Atmanam Natmanam Avsadayet. Uplift yourself by your own effort. Do not let yourself fall. In investing, this means build your own portfolios, your knowledge, and your temperament patiently. As our past president said in his opening remarks and requested all the panelists to keep the speech short and simple. So it was like keep it short and simple. And it reminded me one of the saying that keep it enough to cover the subject and keep it short to maintain the interest. And I'll say that those panelists have done the thing very rightly. So I'll request all the audience to put your hands together for the panelists today. And I'll request the dignitaries to honor those panelists with the mementos. And I'll request Central Council Member C.A. Durgesh Kabra and Regional Council Member Saurabh Ajmera and Vijendra Jain to join for this. Request C. Subhash sir to please come forward and Ravi sir. आप दोनों सर Ravi sir, please offer the memento to Subodh sir, please. CA Ashish Fafdiya ji. Shri Laukik Bagwe ji, please. CA Sunit Kabra ji. And our moderator for the session, C. Ankur Maheshwari ji. So we are going to continue with the next session. I'll hand over to the next MOCs. Thank you. Thank you very much, audience.
Thank you, Piyush Bhai.